Most people believe constipation is just a small inconvenience, something temporary that happens because of diet or stress. But what many adults don't realize is that after age 60, the digestive system itself begins to change in ways that can quietly slow down the colon. This is not simply about what you eat. It is about how the body's internal movement system gradually loses efficiency. Medical research has shown that constipation becomes significantly more common with age, and in some elderly populations, up to half of older adults experience ongoing symptoms. What makes this more concerning is that the change often happens slowly. At first, bowel movements become slightly less frequent. Then stools become harder. Over time, the urge becomes weaker, and eventually, the colon no longer responds the way it once did. To understand why this happens, you need to understand how the colon actually works. The colon is not just a passive tube. It is an active muscular organ controlled by nerves, muscles, and coordinated reflexes. Every time you eat, your digestive system activates a natural signal that tells the colon to move waste forward. This movement depends on nerve sensitivity and muscle contractions. When you're younger, these signals are strong and responsive. The colon reacts quickly, pushing waste efficiently. But with aging, these signals become weaker. The nerves that detect stretching inside the colon become less sensitive. This means waste can accumulate without triggering the normal urge to eliminate. The muscles themselves may also contract more slowly. This combination causes stool to remain in the colon longer than it should. When stool stays in the colon longer, something important happens. The colon continues absorbing water from the waste. The longer the stool remains there, the more water is removed. This makes the stool harder, drier, and more difficult to pass. This is why many older adults notice that bowel movements become harder and require more effort. It is not simply a matter of diet. It is a matter of timing and movement. The system itself has slowed down. Many people ignore these early signs because they assume it is normal aging and nothing can be done. But ignoring it allows the cycle to continue. The colon becomes less active, stool becomes harder, and the process becomes increasingly difficult. Another hidden factor is the weakening of the body's natural reflexes. The urge to use the bathroom depends on stretch receptors inside the rectum. These receptors detect when enough waste has accumulated and send a signal to the brain. With aging, these receptors may become less responsive. This means the signal is delayed or weaker. The result is that many older adults simply do not feel the urge as strongly as they once did. Waste accumulates silently. Days may pass without a normal bowel movement. Over time, this can lead to discomfort, bloating, and a feeling of incomplete elimination. Some people begin relying on medications without understanding why the problem started. There is also another important change that happens after 60. The coordination between muscles involved in elimination can become less efficient. Proper bowel movement requires relaxation of certain muscles and contraction of others. If this coordination weakens, elimination becomes more difficult, even when stool is present. This is why some older adults feel the urge but still struggle to pass stool. The system is no longer working in perfect coordination. It is not broken, but it is slower and less responsive. Many people assume that constipation is only caused by poor diet, but the reality is more complex. Aging itself changes the nervous system, the muscles, and the sensitivity of the colon. These changes reduce the efficiency of waste movement. This is why constipation becomes more common with age, even in people who eat relatively healthy diets. Understanding this removes unnecessary guilt and confusion. It is not always about doing something wrong. It is about understanding how the body changes and responding appropriately. There is also a behavioral component that plays a role. The colon responds strongly to routine. One of the most powerful natural triggers for bowel movement is the gastrocolic reflex, which activates after eating. This reflex signals the colon to move waste forward. However, if a person ignores this signal repeatedly, the reflex can weaken over time. Many older adults delay going to the bathroom because they are busy, uncomfortable, or simply not paying attention to the signal. Over time, This weakens the natural rhythm of elimination. The colon becomes less predictable and less responsive. Fluid balance also becomes more important with age. The colon absorbs water from waste as part of its normal function. When fluid intake is low, the colon absorbs even more water, making stool harder. This creates a cycle where harder stool moves more slowly, and slower movement leads to even more water absorption. The result is progressively harder elimination. Many older adults unintentionally reduce fluid intake, especially if they're trying to avoid frequent urination. This can worsen the situation without them realizing it. Fiber intake also plays a key role, but its effect depends on consistency and gradual increase. Fiber works by holding water in the stool, increasing its volume and softness. This makes it easier for the colon to move waste forward. However, fiber must be increased slowly. Sudden increases can cause bloating or discomfort. When introduced properly, fiber helps restore a more natural rhythm to the colon. It supports the mechanical process of elimination without forcing the system. What is important to understand is that constipation after 60 is not a random event. It is the result of identifiable physiological changes. The nerves respond differently. The muscles contract differently. The reflexes weaken. The timing shifts. When all these factors combine, the colon moves more slowly. This is why so many older adults experience similar symptoms, even when their lifestyles are different. The underlying mechanism is shared. The colon is still functioning, but it requires more support, more consistency, and more understanding to maintain its natural rhythm. This understanding changes how the problem should be approached. Instead of seeing constipation as a sudden failure, it should be seen as a gradual slowing of a system that has worked continuously for decades. Like any system, it responds to the conditions around it. When given proper support, proper timing, and proper habits, the colon can regain much of its natural efficiency. The key is not forcing it aggressively, but restoring the conditions that allow it to function as designed. Once you understand that the colon slows down with age, the next step is understanding how to support it safely and naturally. The goal is not to force the colon aggressively, but to restore the conditions that allow it to function more efficiently. One of the most effective and scientifically supported ways to do this is by increasing dietary fiber gradually and consistently. Fiber works by absorbing water and increasing stool volume. This increased volume gently stimulates the colon walls, encouraging natural contractions. Unlike harsh interventions, fiber works with the body's existing mechanisms rather than overriding them. This makes it one of the safest and most sustainable approaches for older adults. When fiber enters the digestive system, it acts like a sponge. It holds water within the stool, preventing excessive drying. This is critical because dry stool is harder to move. Softer, bulkier stool triggers the colon's natural reflexes more effectively. The colon responds to stretch. When stool volume increases, the colon walls detect this stretching and activate contractions that move waste forward. This is how fiber restores natural rhythm without forcing the system. However, the key is gradual introduction. Sudden increases can cause temporary bloating because the digestive system needs time to adjust. Fluid intake works alongside fiber. Fiber without adequate fluid can actually worsen constipation. Water provides the medium that fiber needs to soften stool. When fluid intake is sufficient, fiber becomes more effective. The colon maintains proper hydration of waste, preventing excessive drying. This combination of fiber and fluid creates an environment where stool remains soft enough to move naturally. Many older adults benefit simply from restoring consistent hydration throughout the day. Small, regular fluid intake is more effective than large amounts consumed all at once. Another powerful but often overlooked factor is timing. The colon is naturally more active after meals due to the gastrocolic reflex. This reflex increases colon activity in response to stomach expansion. Taking advantage of this reflex by allowing time for bowel movement after meals can improve regularity. Many older adults unintentionally suppress this reflex by delaying bathroom use. Restoring this timing helps retrain the colon's natural rhythm. Over time, the colon becomes more predictable and responsive again. There are also specific natural fiber sources that are particularly effective. Psyllium, for example, has been widely studied for its ability to improve stool consistency and frequency. It absorbs water efficiently and increases stool volume without irritating the colon. This gentle stimulation supports natural elimination. Unlike stimulant interventions, psyllium does not create dependency. It supports the body's existing processes rather than replacing them. This makes it suitable for long-term use when introduced gradually. It is also important to understand that aggressive interventions are not always the best first step. The colon responds best to consistent, gentle support. Harsh approaches may create temporary movement, but do not restore natural function. The goal is to improve the colon's own ability to move waste. This requires patience and consistency. The body adapts gradually. Small improvements accumulate over time. The colon becomes more responsive when given proper conditions. Another key factor is recognizing that constipation is often multifactorial. It is rarely caused by a single issue. Instead, it reflects the combined effects of nerve sensitivity, muscle function, hydration, fiber intake, and behavioral patterns. Addressing these factors together creates the best results. Supporting hydration, increasing fiber gradually, and restoring natural timing work together to improve colon function. Each factor reinforces the others. The colon remains capable of functioning efficiently even after age 60. The changes that occur with aging do not represent permanent failure. They represent reduced sensitivity and slower response. When provided with appropriate support, the colon can improve its efficiency significantly. The key is consistency. The digestive system responds to patterns. Regular habits reinforce natural rhythms. Over time, the colon becomes more predictable. It is also important to recognize early warning signs. Hard stool, reduced frequency, and increased effort are signals that the colon is slowing down. Responding early prevents the cycle from worsening. Small adjustments made early are more effective than waiting until symptoms become severe. Supporting the colon before severe slowing occurs helps maintain long-term function. The most important message is that constipation after 60 is not random and not inevitable. It reflects specific physiological changes that can be supported. The colon continues to function throughout life, but it requires more consistent support with age. Fiber, fluid, and timing provide that support naturally. These simple interventions work with the body rather than against it. Over time, they help restore comfort, predictability, and confidence in digestive function. Understanding how the colon changes with age removes fear and confusion. It replaces uncertainty with knowledge. Instead of reacting with frustration, older adults can respond with informed action. The digestive system is adaptable. With proper support, it continues to perform its essential function effectively. The goal is not perfection, but consistent improvement. Supporting the colon naturally allows it to function more comfortably and reliably, even in later years.